People's Democratic Party and the African Democratic Congress, ADC, will find out their fate as the Supreme Court hears cases over leadership disputes in both parties. The outcome at the Apex Court will reshape the internal dynamics of both opposition parties. A 5-member panel of the Apex Court, led by Justice Mohammed Garuba, fixed the date while granting applications for accelerated hearing in all 3 appeals before it. The appeals include the 2 filed by the Kabiru Turaki-led group of the PDP and another by a factional national chairman of the ADC, Senator David Mark. Joining us on this show to discuss the Supreme Court cases and rule of law in a democracy, and also why the judiciary and not the people decide the outcome of elections, is Clement Nwankwo, Executive Director of Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC. Good morning, Clement Nwankwo, and thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Good morning, Ruben, Ayo, and Rufai. My privilege to be on this program this morning.
Okay, we've got a bit by here, but thank you so much for joining us.
Well, Clement, looks like we are back to
No worries.
To the old pattern whereby the courts seem to determine everything, either before or even after the elections. I thought the aspiration was that we will have such open, free, and fair, credible processes that the intervention of the judiciary will be minimized, since it cannot be completely wished away. And then second, what are your expectations with regard to the 2 major cases this week involving the PDP and the ADC in terms of which leadership of the various factions in both parties is entitled to what you may call constitutional and legitimate authority in those parties. Those parties being embroiled in internal crisis.
Thank you, Ruben. Again, Mumbai and Rufai. I'm not going to be able to comment on the cases before the Supreme Court this morning, but certainly Nigerians are looking forward to what the Supreme Court decides. If we look at the Electoral Act, the intention with the Electoral Act was really to try to stop the courts being the theater for management of internal party affairs. And if you look at Section 83 of the Electoral Act, it's very clear about what is needed to be done. Parties are supposed to deal with their issues. And if we look back to the practice of democracy in this country, whether it is from the Second Republic and so on, you never would see a situation where parties have gone to court to decide on who is a chairman of a party, a national secretary of a party, or whatever. And you had firm leadership of parties where those leaderships determined how membership conduct themselves and how officials of the party conduct themselves, and what disciplinary measures are put in place. If you look back to the history of whether it is the NPN or the UPN or the NPP and the rest of those parties, about 5 of them in the Second Republic, it was quite clear that leadership was quite firm. The courts never had to deal with an issue regarding who is leadership of the party or not, or who is even a member of the party or not. And I think it's so sad that we have degenerated to this point where virtually everybody runs to court. Leadership takes a decision. 1 or 2 individuals go to court to try to get the courts to be on their side in order to continue with the perpetuation of instability within the political system. And I think it's really sad on our democracy that as we speak today, virtually all all of the political parties, the ones that have a strong presence in our politics, are in court, tied over the issue of leadership or membership of running themselves. And I do hope that the courts, whether it is the Supreme Court or any other court, would look back into the Electoral Act and say, Section 83, subsection 3 of the Electoral Act says that we cannot be involved in the internal affairs or internal management of political parties. That's, I think, what Nigerians expect the Supreme Court to again re-emphasize and put its foot down. I think as we head to the 2027 general elections, it is very, very sad to see that as it is going, it appears that it's only one party that appears to be coasting to some level of stability as we go on, and the other parties are mired in their own confusion. Of course, there's been insinuations that these parties are caused in their own confusion because of influence from the ruling party, and I think it's something that needs to be taken seriously. But we cannot, as a democracy, we cannot, as Nigeria, have an uncontested election in 2027. It will be very, very disastrous for this democracy. And if anybody thinks that we will successfully have an uncontested election in 2027, then that person has no understanding of history and and has no understanding of the consequences of what is going on.
All right, thank you very much. I'd love to ask you to speak on a consequential matter, but it's not before the courts. Now, we saw the fallout, well, I don't know if we can call it a fallout, but after the ADC convention, there were conversations around the validity or the legitimacy of that convention. Now, Dr. Monday Ubani, SAN, had made a statement that according to Section 82 of the Electoral Act, INEC doesn't need to be present at a convention for it to be legitimate. He says that the only prescription that matters is that a party has notified INEC 21 days in advance that such an event will hold. However, of course, we know that the Section 82 says that INEC shall attend the conventions, congresses, and so forth. So I'd love for you to just bring some clarity, your take on this position. Dr. Monday Ubani is saying, no, INEC doesn't need to observe conventions.
Again, the Electoral Act is very clear on these issues, and Leonard SAN Monday Ubani is very much versed in this conversation and was part of the technical team that we worked together on the Electoral Act, and he fully understands what he's saying. If INEC does not show up at an event that it is mandated to show up, then the blame is on INEC, not on the party that invited it, and INEC doesn't show up. I think that's the point that Monday is making, which is really that the parties have a responsibility to notify INEC within a certain amount of time, and if INEC doesn't fulfill its responsibilities, then the party doesn't bear the brunt of it. And I think that's the point that's so very important to make about INEC and its role. As we head towards 2027 general elections, it is quite clear that INEC came out of the 2023 general elections, and even 2019, with its reputation severely dented. And we had said, both as observers, as lawyers, as experts who have worked on electoral matter issues, that INEC needs to rebuild its credibility, needs to rebuild its image, needs to rebuild citizens' trust in it. And for me, I think that's the worrying issue. How does INEC do this? Does INEC understand how important it is that people trust it? And when they don't trust it, then the legitimacy of the electoral process is severely dented. And those who win an election that people have no trust in the process probably just earn a Pyrrhic victory, and Pyrrhic victories always have consequences. So the duty is much more on INEC to look at what the law says, to comply with it, rather than renege on its own obligations and then put the consequences on the parties. Mumbai, that's really what I'm saying.
Trade oil.